What's going on, everyone? Luke here again from Mr. FBA UK, bringing you another video. This one is going to be short and sweet, a two-parter. Now, the reason it's going to be short and sweet is because obviously we're in the middle of Q4. You should have started to see sales going up. Not obviously, so basically the quantity of sales is improving. And obviously that should just tick over slowly and slowly and slowly and go upwards all the way up to the last week of before Christmas. So obviously it does depend on your inventory, your stock. So it can't you can't go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 grand a day, because obviously you have to keep your stock levels high for that to happen. And what happens is where your sales start going up, obviously your inventory available to sell goes down. So you have now the transition, all the work's done, in theory. All the work is now is making sure that you put all the things in place, basically all the mechanisms in place pre Q4 or October, so that you are able to spend your money as fast as you can as soon as you get it back, because you'll start getting more and more, as I've discussed about 4,000 times in the in the videos leading up to Q4. It's not about now what Q4 is doing. It's about you getting that inventory back in and getting as much as you can back in, because that's where you're now going to potentially get unstuck. If you do 200 units in a day, well, and you've only got 600, well, tomorrow you've only got 4, and so on. You get what I'm trying to say. We're not going to talk about Q4. This video is completely Q1 related. Now you might be thinking, what the hell? Like, I've not even got it start. Q4 and just started ticking over nicely, and now you're talking about Q1. Well, you have to, because I did not last year. You can see here, this is my December sales in the UK. So I had about let's say that's 2.8. I had about 6 grand in Europe, so that's 35 grand. And for my first Q4, first proper Q4, you can see down here, that's actually what I did last December, December 2016. That's my first month. In December in 2016, I remember sitting on New Year's Eve looking at that number on my screen, my mates going, "What? I cannot believe that." And I was literally getting I think I was getting paid £1,180. No, maybe less than that. Oh, no, I don't know. I was basically getting paid less than that. And I was like, I've just sold random things. And I've made, obviously it's not profit, not anything, but I've done, sales, the same amount as I get paid a month. And I've only been doing this Amazon thing a month, and I was already at that number. But it was more the number that represented something to me. I was like, all bets are off. And that's when I basically set up myself so that 3 months later I quit my job. So within 4 months of starting Amazon on a couple K, 1.5 grand. I think I started off with £1,000. Then I put in over Christmas another, just for my wages, for maybe 2 paydays I just put in another couple £100, so maybe I ended up with £1,600. And then from then I just replenished, and I didn't pay myself till July, so I quit my job in April, didn't pay myself till July, so I had a little bit of repetition or reinvesting, but get off that subject. This is Q4, and yes, great. You make, you're looking at your sales, and it doesn't matter what scale you're at. You'll make, decent profit for your relative size. Okay. So when you come to it, you should be happy if you've done everything right. Okay. So now you got to get to the point where you have to focus on just replenishing all the way up to the second week, third week in December. It just depends on what you do, how you do it. Do you use a prep center and so on? But that's all your focus is now. There's nothing else. It should become easier as you need to find products, because you're used to looking where you can look. Because obviously when you can't find something, you'll start using your time thinking, well, I really want to try to find things if I can, because this is the time I need to, if it's Q4. So by the time you've done it at a week, sometimes you can't, but Q4 there's normally deals everywhere, so you don't have to look too far to find them. But you also have to prepare for Q1. Maybe not prepare, but you have to sort of be mentally brainstorming at least And I know it's difficult if it's your first Q4 and will be your first proper Q1 to really even have a clue, because I certainly didn't. And well, it's really annoying because this graph here used to actually show you the breakdown of your categories. If I could show you, it would say basically a hell of a lot would be toys, like 90% toys, or toys and games related. And yeah, great for Q4. So I did great. You know, I did really well for my proper first Q4. But the problem is one, if you're left with any stock, toys is quite hard to shift in January. Now I'm not talking about after Christmas rush. I'm talking about January. Yes, people have like gift cards and this and that and all that sort of thing, but they usually use it after Christmas, but before like January. Yeah, some don't, but you'll see the difference almost immediately. So what you've got to do is prepare. Now, I am basically going to give you the overview of what happened with me. Yeah, so this is dates. You can see the dates here. Awesome. We're going to jump. This is me. This is me acting no differently in my actions. Okay, mentally. Yes, I obviously stopped sending stock in, so it went down. My inventory went down. Fine. But I'll show you now. 2000 and why can't I do? Let's just put this for a second. We'll then jump to Jan with no real difference. I'd say my inventory was a couple of hundred units, because obviously I think you just let it all sell out and sort of try to start afresh each year. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be basically trying to like start a good fresh, not just expenses and costs and breakdowns and everything, but with everything. And I'm going to go over that all in Q4. I'm going to go over my plan for Q4, personal plan. But this is just getting you in the mental, like getting you aware in preparation. I'll bring that out in December probably, or last week of this month. So you've got December to think. So we go January. No. Oh goodness me! What's this thing doing? Can't I not put 2018? Here we go. Oh, yeah, I'm getting there. Jan. Okay, 2018. Okay. That right. Apply. Now look. Boom. This is the beginning of this year. Now look at the actual number of sales I did. 4,000. Now, yes, I didn't have as much inventory, but yes, I was sending in inventory in January. I was sending in normal stuff, just as I barely sold anything apart from toys and games throughout the year in 2017. Yeah. I was ungated in all the other categories, but I really had no idea about the other categories. So I did dabble in beauty, but nothing really. Not essentially. It was all mainly just toys and games related, like little figures or video games or DVDs, that sort of thing. But still sort of entertainment. And it went down like this. And now what actually happened is that for a couple of months it was pretty crap. It was. I mean, we can have a look. I don't actually remember exactly. So what we'd do is we'd jump to Feb. It would have gone. Would it have gone up? I generally just can't remember. Basically, it was terrible for the whole of Q1. Okay, even lower. Look at that. Wow. Yeah. So basically, I found out that it didn't really improve in demand. So I was doing the same thing, but obviously you can't keep putting in stock if no one's buying it. So I was sort of being mediocre with the input, because obviously I didn't want to put everything into stock and have no money and be like, wow, where is everything, Because obviously at this point I'm still paying expenses, I'm still paying myself a salary, like $1.5 grand. I've still got accountancy fees, I still got all the general bits and bobs that you have to pay out all year round, but you're making no money. Now, what I noticed, or what I've realised, is that you don't want, yeah, you can have a great Q4, but what's the point if you then waste Q1 paying yourself with your profits from Q4 is ultimately the end goal there. If you make 20 grand profit, yeah, Q4, you got it in the bank, and you pay yourself a little bit of money, like you want to have a nice Christmas to yourself, so you pay yourself some money. Maybe you want to go on holiday with it. Okay, great. Now you've got to start afresh. Well, now you've got January, February, and March to pay. Obviously, not everyone's paying themselves salaries, but we're going on that principle here, or even something. And that's that's 4.5 grand. That is gone just on salaries because you're not making really enough to cover up everything. Yeah, you're making some money here, but not enough to cover everything, including all your expenses and stuff. So, okay, let's say it's half, but you don't want to eat into your Q4 profits because you don't understand Q1s. Like, you wait all year, or you wait loads of the year because people hype up Q4. You have an amazing Q4, or a great Q4, a good Q4, anyway, something decent. And then then you see this money return into your account at the end of Christmas, because obviously you stop sending stock in, so you have about 10 days, 2 weeks transition where money's coming in but stock's not going in. So it's sort of, that's where you start seeing the cash actually increase. But then what's the point doing all of that work, all of that, getting you mentally as well, like getting yourself into that point where then you end up wasting half of it because you have such a crap Q4 that it's nothing to even really shout about. This is nothing. $3,900. I might as well not go out of bed for that. Considering I was only selling toys and games and the margins as well, like I was probably selling a lot of leftover stock, so the margins probably weren't great. And obviously you want to make, and then when you're at this point, you're making no sales, but you need to pay out some bills. You're forcing the sales through. You are actually probably taking even worse profits than 30%. You're probably taking 15. I don't know. Like you just want, because you're starting to panic. You get in Feb, you're starting to panic. And you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to. What if I have to use all my Q4 profits? So you go through the whole year just to pay, just to have a crap Q1 and then pay it all back out again. It's literally like Q1 is almost like the hidden gem of the year. If you can have if you can have an okay January, and I mean, like, this is bottom line, so worst case, you just break even basically on expenses, on salaries and all that. You've done well, I'd say, and I can see how you can make a profit now. That'll be in the part 2. Well, I won't. I'll explain it, but I'll go over it in part 2. So what I'm going to do, well, I'll go over it now. What I'm going to do now, personally, is that I've realised that toys and games is seasonal, okay? Which everyone knew. What you need to do for Q1 is you need to literally have a cleanse of your inventory. And I believe that I'm going to do this. Not everyone can, of course. As we get towards Christmas, the closer we get, the more I'm going to go lightish, because it's still Christmas. You don't want to go too light, like 2 or 3. Maybe I'll go 6 or 10, not like 20, 30 to be left with anything. And start putting in more grocery products, because groceries are all year round. Like, for example, if someone wants like Kleenex or toilet roll, yeah, or tea bags, it doesn't matter what bloody month it is. It's like, just because it's, well, you can literally just put someone, like, time travel them into another like, until next year. It's irrelevant what month they're in. They still probably want tea. And they're still going to drink probably the same amount, maybe a bit more in the winter, but I mean, if people have afternoon tea, they're having afternoon tea. If the person's going to go to the toilet, they're going to go to the toilet. So these grocery items, these are going to save your bacon almost, and yes, you might not be in it, you might not know where to get the stuff, but this is where you have to prepare for Q1. And so in December, if you're not really sure, start investigating, start scanning, start looking, just start looking at the stuff on Amazon. What sort of grocery items are there? What do they look like? what, because I had no idea until I actually looked. But now it's second nature. I know all the items. I know, you know, this, that, that. I don't even have to think. There's tons of grocery items out there. Tons. It's ridiculous. But no, but until you actually learn the ropes, it's just like anything. It's like if someone gave you a sheet and said, do Amazon FBA beforehand, and you're like, how? You just send stuff in. Just buy stuff from somewhere and send it into Amazon. Make money. If you just did it to a random person, they have no idea. Like, well, where? I've looked loads of places. I can't find anything with profit. Well, we all know that there are places that you can. But it's all about the learning, and it's the preparing. But if you prepare too late, you don't know what to send in. You don't have anything to send in. You know. And for me, I'm going to basically try to have it almost 90% groceries in January or for January, rather than 90% toys, which is what I had last year. You see, and that way I should, no matter what, no matter how bad, be at least able to break even through paying everything, and it should do better than that, but I'm just saying that as a worst case, and then push on as earlier in the year for potentially next Q4, because people look at month by month, think it's not working, and I always say you look at a year as a whole, because you have to evaluate the whole year as a full cycle. You can't, you can't look at it as a 3-month period. Oh, I've done crap for the last 3 months. My sales are all the same. You know, this, that, and the other. You have to evaluate a year's turnover, a year's profit. You've got to do it by that, and by starting the foundations in January. Imagine what, and then instead of losing money and then having to make it up, you're making money on top of the money you've already made, so you're doubling up. It's sort of how it's working, and that for me is why you've got to prepare for Q1 now. At least be brainstorming Q1 now and getting ideas in your head, even if it's just, you're laying in bed and you're thinking, right, okay, so what's the plan? Like, maybe I'll go and scan a couple of grocery items in the supermarket. I might go and scan some soaps or something. I don't know. Let's go scan some toilet rolls. Obviously, look for the offers, just to see what stuff's out there, what ranking things are, what are people buying. Even just go on Amazon, just go onto groceries and just look at what people are buying and see what it even looks like, what the listings look like. And if not, get ungated in groceries. And yes, you don't have to. It depends. If you don't need to make up, if you've got expenses extremely low and you're happy to, have really slow January, February, March because you've had a good Q4, fine. But it's more about keeping that momentum and then push through to the next, pushing through your next year, rather than just getting caught up in the Q4 hype to then lose, a quarter, a half, or all of your profits, because then you've still got to pay taxes on that. So, you made that extra money, yeah, you paid it out, but there are taxes as well. Not obviously, it depends on how you do all these taxes and stuff, but you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Hopefully it was a little bit insightful for my thoughts of the next couple of months, and maybe actually giving you a little bit of like, actually, yeah, like, thanks for actually just giving my brain a little shunt and making me realise there's something that I need to be aware of. Because at the moment, everyone's doing the opposite. Well, I feel. Not everyone, but a lot of people are doing the opposite. They're actually just getting caught up in the moment, because there's a lot of people, it's their first Q4 and not really looking past this year, basically. So anyway, I end the video there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll bring a part 2, which will literally be showing you what I'm going to do with my expenses, like costs and stuff, to maximize as well to maximize Q1 in terms of, I'm not just going to try to make money, but I'm also going to try to reduce all my costs so that I have to, in theory, I can do less sales but make the same amount of profit. That's another tip. So I'm going to yo-yo backwards. So instead of maximizing my expenses, meaning I can maximize my sales, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to, in theory, if my sales are going to be less, then okay, that's okay. But I don't want my expenses to be high or outgoings, because if my sales are low, I still have to pay high expenses. But if it's the opposite, then I can afford, if push comes to shove, to have less sales, which is potentially January, what's going to happen. Anyway, leave it there. If you like the videos, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought, or any questions you might have, because obviously it's a bit of a maybe a little bit of a difficult subject sometimes, or a bit more complicated subject than just sending in toys and making sales at Christmas. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. So I'll see you on the next video. See you later. Bye.